Hey, what's going on everyone? Hawk21 here, back with another Splinterlands video. So I'm here, as you can see. I did the little scavenger hunt here. The video ended up being really long. So for those of you who watched, over an hour and a half of my content and tried to complete the scavenger hunt. First off, I greatly appreciate it. And second of all, I will be sending out the chaos packs probably about an hour or two after this video gets posted. So you still have some time if you can get through these videos quickly and try to complete some of them. Obviously the ones where you have to be the first to do it, you're not going to be able to win at this point. But there's a lot of them where random people win, so give them a watch. I know it's a lot, but I really enjoyed putting this together. Now, after I made these videos, it's almost like the Nerfs immediately started rolling in. I've seen a couple of them. There's a couple I have not seen. So what we're going to do is we are back here on the Mav server. This is just going to be one video. There's no games involved here. We're just going to go through and quickly point out some of the nerfs or maybe buffs. I haven't seen all of these. I've seen some Twitter conversation about some of them. Mainly I'm looking for obvious things. So if there's a small change of like a health difference or a speed difference, I probably won't notice. But yeah, we'll look for the big ones. So right off the bat here with fire, don't see anything. Again, not really going to talk about these cards unless there's changes. If you do want me to talk about these cards, you need to watch my other videos, those 3 videos that I put out where I talked about all of these in depth. So here, don't see any serious changes. This stayed the same. -2 shield is nice. Here's where we get to the first big change. Idri fire. So originally, if we go to the stats here, I believe it was as simple as, well actually, I think it got slower. So I'm pretty sure it was 5 speed across the board if I remember correctly. And I'm not sure if any of the health and stuff changed. But the big thing is Magic Reflect effectively turned into Redemption. So still right off the bat, we'll just take this level by level real quick with this new thing in mind. Good distraction card for 6, right? Has the taunt. There's the weapons training reach card we talked about in fire. That's going to give this a melee attack. So, it will be able to attack. And, level 2 now, we have the redemption. So obviously, in my opinion, not as good as Magic Reflect. However, there are some synergies here. Or I guess one is sort of like a defense mechanism. Lux gets played a lot, specifically at the highest levels. So, this card's going to get targeted. When it finally, it's going to take a turn or 2 or maybe even 3 turns to get through. And then you'll get the redemption. That'll take away all of the shield, the one shield that Lux provides to all monsters. That's a big benefit. Now, the other thing you can do, if we go to, actually I have this card so I can just do it here. The Oh Sure. You can play the Resurrect if you do Dragon and Fire together, and you'll get the redemption to trigger twice. So if you resurrect a monster with redemption, the first time it dies, redemption will trigger. If you resurrect it, the second time it dies, redemption will trigger. So that's a nice little synergy there. And then, as you level it up, it still gets return fire, gets phase. At the highest level, this is still a great card. I think it was definitely nerfed, getting rid of the Magic Reflect. But it's still a great defensive tank that you'll still be able to give an attack to. So if you come here, this card stayed the same. So it does seem like weapons training is going to give half the attack, rounded up. So I think 5 will become 3. So if you play those 2 monsters together right here, this will end up with 3 attack, which is great. That still remains to be seen, so don't hold me to that. These 2 look the same. I don't see a meaningful nerf here. So yeah, we're going to move on. Again, we want this one to be a little quicker, just because we've already talked about these cards in depth. So they didn't touch either of these cards. I wasn't expecting them this one. I was wondering if they were going to touch this one. They have not done anything to it yet. So as of now, This looks like a fantastic Possibilis Reach monster. We'll see if this one gets nerfed at all. Go here. These look the same. Yep, so nothing really to talk about here. Noah looks the same. Yeah, this is the one where difficult to eliminate, but also has Martyr. So will be interesting to see how this one synergizes with things. Next we have the legendaries. These look this. Oh wait, this didn't used to have opportunity, did it? No. What did this used to have? This had a fourth ability. I talked about it with Possibilis, playing it in the second position because it would give weapons training, right? So you could play Noah in the first, or you could play Bakjira in the first, play this in the second, have it get reach. So it didn't used to have opportunity because I wouldn't have said it needed to be played in the second position with Possibilis. Oh, it used to have a press because I remember saying this would be sort of a Bakjira counter, right? You play it in the second position. It's going to give a melee attack to, a first position monster. And then the oppress would have doubled it to 8. So you would have been hitting Bakjira for 8, but they switched it. This card's amazing. So it still synergizes with Possibilis, right? Because we know opportunity plus trample is great. And what you could actually do now with Possibilis is you could put, a tank or whatever up front, and you could put Bakjira actually in the second position. And then it could get an attack with reach. And then you could put this in the third. So with the shield ability, enrage, oh, this is a sick opportunity card. Oh, and it gets it right away too. So I feel like most opportunity cards do. A weapon training opportunity right from the start. This is a really awesome card. I think this is a buff. Yeah, I would consider this a buff. That's our first buff we've seen. This card stayed the same. Its use is the shatter, but I feel like that one could use a buff. Maybe a third magic or something. But yeah, that stayed the same. So let's go here. These two look about the same. Again, if it's like a health difference, or even here, I can't remember if this had 4 attack or 3 attack. They look relatively similar. So we'll keep it moving. This is the same. This is the same. Here was a nerf. So everything's about the same, except they replaced tank heal, which it had right here, with headwinds. Now, this is obviously a nerf. People were really, really excited about this card for 4 mana. Probably a needed nerf. And I mean, with some of the Fernheart teams that are getting tossed out now, which is really great archery damage, or range damage, having the headwinds is going to be nice. Still, level 5 is where this card gets really good. I mean, right from the beginning, if you're going to do a melee attack, getting an Inspire with decent amount of health for only 4 mana is definitely good. But this is when I get really interested at level 5. And then, I'll take the headwinds. Still a really good card, just obviously headwinds is not as good as tank heal. So there's another nerf. Generally speaking, I think we get more nerfs than we do buffs. This looks about the same. Oh, this used to have shield. Okay, now they made, basically, looks like they changed shield to void armor. I think that's the only difference. So you get a little differentiation between this and the Mycelic Infantry now. Because originally when this had shield, it was basically like, all right, no magic rule sets. This is like a must-play card. Specifically reverse speed as well. But now that it has a little resilience to magic, it's still really for me just a reverse speed card. But now in reverse speed settings, I'm not going to need to, make the specification that, all right, it needs to be no magic, or I'm not expecting magic, which if green's available, you have to at least a little bit expect magic with Obsidian. So I would call this a little bit of a buff. It makes it less niche, and niche is good, right? Because in the right context, this old card would have been insane. But this just, I think, becomes playable across a wider variety of potential game sets. We move on to life. Ooh, this did not have shield prior. This, or sorry, not shield. This didn't have heal prior. I'm pretty sure this only had Void, Divine, and Magic Reflect. Or did it get something else later? I don't remember, but it definitely did not have heal. I remember this, because I remember talking about this card and talking about it as like, I was pretty meh on it. Basically, you know, Lux for me is a great play with life. I love playing Lux with life, just when I don't need what Wraith brings to the table. But sometimes, you know, you want a little bit of what Wraith brings to the table. And for me, just having a Void Armor monster was, you know, nice to have on its own. Wasn't a great card. Give this heal, though, and only for 7 mana. I mean, heal's one of the best abilities you can give a tank. So, you know, tossing heal on this thing makes this a lot more interesting of a card. This is a big, big, big buff. You know, this is very cheap, in my opinion, now for 7 mana. Getting, you know, 7 and 9 at the highest level, where it gets it, oh, it gets it all the way down in silver. Look at this card in silver. This card is sick. Wow. Okay, this card just got a huge, huge, huge boost. And it does get to 9 health, so it's going to heal for 3. Awesome. I'm now very excited for this card. This card looks about the same. Yeah. This will be an interesting card. See how it gets utilized. Keep it moving. This is the same. This is the same. This one, they changed the order, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I believe, I could be wrong here, but I believe it started with repair. Right? So originally, just a repair monster in life is good, and then it eventually got immunity. So, I mean, I don't really see... Okay, so poison rule sets. Combine this with Wraith at any point, and it's a pretty good card, just giving it Void Armor. Giving it immunity is nice because it can't get poisoned, right? So the 4 health is obviously a problem if it gets poisoned. You poison it, and then even if you have Void Armor, you know, the poison will just whittle this away in 2 turns. But, I mean, then you... The Thorns is nice, right? So put Wraith, you put this up front in the first position, and it's just difficult to get through. But this gets really, really good at levels 5 and 6. Level 5, when it can repair for itself and other life monsters. Again, I keep saying it, but I'm playing this card with Wraith for the most part. So everyone's going to have shield. This is going to be all voided. This is going to be a really difficult monster to get through. Again, because you can't poison it, and it can just keep repairing. And you can't rust it either. Can you shatter immunity monsters? I'm not sure, actually. Let me, whoever knows if you can shatter immunity monsters, let me know. But the repair is going to be great. You can repair shatters anyways, so it's not like it won't be able to put the shield back on. And then finally, obviously, if you're going to add on Inspire to that package, fantastic. It's actually big here in life too, because the Stitch Leech has 4 attack as is, so it'll life leech for 2 health when it hits full. Giving it 5 means it's going to life leech for 3, so it's a pretty big boost, you know, for any melee monster, but specifically for the Stitch Leech in life. All right, let's keep it moving. This, oh, both of these changed. This used to have camo. I don't have much to say here. It's kind of like I think a slight lateral down move. I liked it with weapons training and camo better. You know, just because the weapons training can't be hit off. But, okay, not a big deal, I don't think. This one, they got rid of the Magic Reflect. I saw this one ahead of time, so I know the only difference, I believe, is the Magic Reflect is gone. I still really like this card. You know, specifically, again, when you're expecting magic. But having a backline taunt with Martyr is going to be very interesting. Because you can put this between the 2 monsters you exactly want to get boosted with the Martyr ability, and know that for the most part this is going to get attacked. Again, it's curious to have a card with Martyr with a ton of health, but I'm excited to try to squeeze this card into, you know, this is a card I'm going to be excited to test. I feel like it has high potential, but I'm going to want to use it first. All right, let's go to Death. And the monster that I said needed to be nerfed got nerfed. It's still a great card. So this is more in line. I still think it's a value for 2 mana, but this is more in line, I think, with what it should be, right? You're getting a lot of health and shield at the highest level. Good speed, small attack, but this is mostly, I think, eat up attacks. And they took out the dodge. So originally this had dodge and phase. Now it just gets phase. When does it get phase? So it doesn't even get it until gold. So like down here, I mean, still getting 6 here with 4 is pretty good for 2 at the lowest levels. But once you get here, this is still, I think, a card that's going to get a ton of play for 2 mana. You can't do much better than this for 2 mana. But it's much more balanced than it was before. So I'm glad they did something about that card. And then the creepy doll here. I call it the creepy doll, but it's literally called the possessed puppet. So not too far off. This looks exactly the same. This will be a weird card to play. The double strike, but it's like a glass cannon. So, opportunity rule sets, excited, but I just don't want to look at it. So let's keep it moving. Ooh, both of these got nerfed. I didn't see these yet. So this card lost camo, right? I was really excited about this card because Protect and Inspire are 2 of my favorites. And then this was camouflaged. So, it can't be targeted by Sneak or Opportunity, which is the risk when you bring a card with this low health and that's not fast. I still love, Protect and Inspire, obviously, but just the fact that it can be targeted now definitely brings down this card's value a bit. And then Octavia was -1 melee, and that's got switched to -1 health. That's interesting. Do they think -1 melee was too powerful to combine with a Gladiator card? I doubt it because, in Fire, they have -2 shield. Is that equivalent? Is -2 shield less than -1 melee? I personally wouldn't think so, but ooh, actually, you know what it might be? We're going to get the Death Summoner stats soon, and they're in the process of finalizing those. I wonder if the Death Summoner is going to have -1 melee as a part of the package. And so they didn't want to release 2 cards very close together that have -1 melee in the same Splinter. I bet that's it. I have no idea. I'm just totally guessing. But the timing just seems curious. And, I don't think -1 melee was too big of a sort of thing to give, compared to, even life, right? You get +1 shield. +1 shield's awesome. I don't know. We'll see. A little less excited about this card now, but still probably going to use because, as I said, I don't have a great Death Summoner that I love using right now. So, -1 health across the board, and then bringing a Gladiator card is kind of like, the best I have in Death right now. Besides Lux. I play Lux a lot with Death. Epic. This looks about the same. I would say maybe my least favorite of the epics. But, we'll see it in action. These 2 look the same, getting a Resurrection and Death. I was curious if they were going to nerf Who's It. That looks like they didn't end up doing it. So, excited to use this card. Another Bloodlust monster coming. Home stretch here. There's no common, rare. Summoner's the same. We got, Nerf. Oh no, that's sad. So originally this had Triage for 1 mana. It had these 3 abilities plus Triage. So now, okay, so previously I talked about I want to play Dr. Blight in the 6th position, this card in the 5th, because it had camo, so it couldn't be targeted and would protect Dr. Blight from blast damage. And because it had Triage, if Dr. Blight took Magic Reflect, you'd be able to heal it up. I'm still playing it in the 5th position because of the camo and the Scavenger. Just thinking that it's going to get to the front. Hopefully, it's at 8, 9, even 10 health maybe by the time it gets up there. And Dr. Blight's behind it, also scavenging. So then you're going to have 2 really high health monsters that hopefully gives Dr. Blight enough time to do its thing. So still a useful card. I mean, all of this plus Triage for 1 mana was kind of silly. So I'm not surprised they got rid of that, but obviously makes this card less exciting. This here looks about the same. Again, The thing here is you can combine this with another weapons training card, and so if you combine it with a magic weapons training card, you can give a monster 2 attacks. So you could give it magic and range. So it'll be cool how people try to play that out. These two look the same. This one looks the same. I've seen this used a bunch just because it's neutral in some of the videos that I've seen. And people seem to like it. So I'm curious to test this card out. I'm going to skip Epic because I already know what's happening. No nerf here. I was wondering if this would get nerfed. It's very expensive, so I'm not surprised it didn't get nerfed. Just it'll be a cool card. The 2 attack double strike will be fun. All right, it's time. I've delayed it long enough. My favorite card got a big nerf. The Clockwork Aid. So originally, I said in my videos this was my favorite card. So it had swiftness, it had cleanse. I believe it had slow. It did have slow. And then I don't remember which one of these it was its last ability. Don't really care. I loved this card because it had swiftness and it had slow. It by itself was a 2 speed manipulation in 1 neutral card. And as someone who basically every battle tries to outspeed my opponent, I was so ready to just spam this card. Now it's still a great card. Getting rust and swiftness in a neutral card for only 4 mana is great. Like, I want this card, I will play this card, but what did they do to my boy? Or to my clock, I guess I should say. I was very, very excited. It was definitely too overpowered, but it just fit so perfectly into my playstyle. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is just take a quick moment of silence with me for the original concept of the Clockwork Aid. Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. And that's all the cards. So we did all the buffs and nerfs. If you enjoy this type of content, it would be amazing if you could take a second to subscribe to the channel. A lot of viewers who aren't subscribed, so if you could do that really quick step, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, have a great day, and I will see you around the game.